Hi friends, it's Lala. So I had this video idea while scrolling through Book Outlet. Book Outlet is like my favorite place to buy inexpensive books. And I saw these two books that were really similar looking to books that I already have. There was this one called Don't Die, My Love, and it's like the same stock photo as Finding Cinderella. And then I saw this book called Fractures, and it looks exactly like this book that I have called Fractured. Like similar names and similar covers. And I was thinking, like, what if there are books out there that look like my favorite book? Because those two examples aren't like my favorite books. They're just books that look similar. Some places use like obviously the same stock photography and they just end up having similar looking covers. So I grabbed a stack of every 4.5 or 5-star book that I've ever read. So arguably my favorite books. And I'm going to find books on Book Outlet that have similar covers to my favorite books. And I'm going to buy 5 of them and read them. And maybe I'll find some new favorite books. This is really taking the buying of books by their cover to like a whole new level. Okay, so I'm going to type in Book Outlet. I already have a pretty full cart. I'm getting ready to place an order, which is why I thought this would be a good idea. Also, they have inexpensive books, so it was natural for me to want to go to Book Outlet. Also, I'm a Book Outlet vlogger friend, so it all just seemed perfect. So I'm going to go to the young adult section because I feel like this stack of books is a lot of young adult, and I'm most likely to find another big raven on the cover in this genre, or 2 white people about to kiss in this section. Actually, let's hop out of here so I can show you a couple things that are in this stack. So I tend to have a preference for girls underwater. This happens a lot. Like maybe I'll find something with a knitted cover. There are also some that are really unlikely to find. Like this is a giant bobby pin. I also have a thing for night skies. Like a lot of my favorite books end up having like a really dark, starry sky. There's 2 people in an airport. We'll go to the thriller section too. There's like nature and leaves. There's again like a dark sky cover. Girl underwater. This one just has words on it, so I don't know how realistic that one is. This one's like watercolor with a tree. I really don't know how this is gonna turn out. This isn't one of my favorite covers, but it's one of my favorite books. So like red silhouetted human. This is another just word one. I also have a thing for people falling. I've noticed that a lot. Like there's a girl falling. Another night sky. These 2 are really similar and they both ended up being favorite books of mine, but I don't know if I'll ever find something like really close to that. Another night sky. Oh, creepy hands. I like creepy hands as well. Oh, actually these ones are kind of similar to the 2 I just showed. They're just like words and then like some explosion-y vector graphics. Another kind of silhouetted person. Another night sky. I don't know if I'll ever find anything like Becky Albertalli's covers. Another girl falling in the night sky. Another night sky. Another silhouetted person. Shattered flowers. Just some words. Another night sky. Just a big face. Oh, another big face. Another big face. Another big face that's underwater. A boot. A night sky and a silhouetted person. Another silhouetted, well, that's like a doodle. This one's just words. A bird. Okay, so now we will start the scroll. I already see on the very first one, like, there's a couple things popping out right away, but I don't know how similar, like, they need to be to count. So there's this one that has a girl underwater. There's this one that has words and a heart. So we'll just kind of see as we go, like, the most similar things I can find. Does that make sense? There's another heart. The thing is, you're probably going to see things too that I don't notice, and you're going to be like, but that one! There's going to be like thousands to scroll through. Like Crooked Kingdom, that has a bird on the cover. I do already own that book though. Maybe I should do this like based on my own TBR shelf too, and not just Book Outlet. There's a big face. This could take a while. That has a night sky on it. I've also never read A Wrinkle in Time. This could be kind of perfect. Okay, what about this one? Drink, Slay, Love. I feel like that's kind of similar to When Dimple Met Rishi. There's a face drinking something with a straw. Okay, that feels like a clear winner, right? Although I don't know about that title. I'm not going to read what any of these are about. That's the point. Just reading 5 books that I've never heard of and don't know what they are, and see if they turn out to be my favorite books. There's a tree and like watercolor. I feel like we're getting some things. See there's another girl underwater, and I really liked that book. Oh my god! Do you see that? That's a boot. Oh my god, I did not think I would find a boot. Is that the same? That is scarily similar. Look at this. It's got like the detail down here, and then the stripe, and then the little... Oh my gosh, and it's like a weird handwritten font. Okay, that is for sure one that is being bought. That is like the closest one I found so far. Okay, that looks like a night sky, but it's not really... This one could kind of, like, especially from there up, it's like similar colors, it's watercolor. See, why don't my favorite books have like girls in gowns with fantasy things? Because there's a million of those. Okay, I see 2 white people almost kissing. Feels kind of similar to Casey West, but Casey West is like full body people. And since I don't really have any other books that have like people in love on the cover, I want to get really specific with a Casey West match. I mean, there's the Siren, which is the back of a girl's head, and this is the back of a girl's head. Should I only pick books that I've never heard of before? We should make that a rule. We Were Never Here. There's a night sky and there's people. Do any of my night skies have people? I do have After the Fall by Kate Hart, which has a person. And there's people underwater. That would be good if Mara Dyer was in like my favorite books of all time, but it's not. I just like girls by themselves underwater. No kissing underwater. Oh, like Red Queen would be a good one. Like if I loved 3 Dark Crowns, Red Queen, those could be good choices for each other. Oh my god, 3 Dark Crowns. Weird. It's like I have to make the decision, like how similar do I need to get? Like I'm specifically scrolling YA and thrillers because those are most likely to be my favorites anyway. And then I'm buying covers that are similar. So I'm like in the same genre, similar covers. Like let's see how it goes. Oh. Oh. First and Then. Hey, that's by Emma Mills. Emma Mills wrote one of my favorite books. Oh my god, that's literally raindrops. It's like the same color as this one, but the raindrops of this one. Ah! And it's only $2.89, and that's Canadian. There's only one. That's like the perfect... What the heck? Okay, so I for sure have 2. I feel like Girl in Pieces is similar to Girls on Fire. It's got like the red and it's got tan and it's really simple, but I've already read Girl in Pieces. Okay, I really want to find an underwater one. Okay, I'm gonna find one more and then go over to the thriller area. Okay, there's one called Underwater, but it's a girl on a couch. That's not really... My taste seems to be like a girl whose face is like just coming out of the water. Oh, see? Like the rattled bones right there. Just submerged. Oh. There's a girl underwater. She's underwater, isn't she? Oh, she's underwater. And that's actually looks more like a thriller. I think April Henry, I've never read any of her books, but I think those are like YA thrillers. Girl Underwater. I think we did it. Yeah, that Girl Underwater is like lame now. That heart, those colors, that was nothing. I don't have anything that actually looks like that. Oh yeah. I have to do that, don't I? And we're trying to be scientific and choose books just with similar covers. They don't have to be the same type of book. I don't know what this is about, but it looks like a vampire book to me. That would just like be my first instinct. Okay, so we've got the girl with the drink. We've got a girl underwater. Oh yeah, the boot. That one's good. We've got the boot, that's 3. Oh yeah, and then that one, which is similar to like 4 different books. Like, this is a book I might have bought because it clearly I have a taste. So now we're gonna find like one more thriller. I just want to have the best luck at actually liking the book. Do you know what I mean? So I'm gonna do fiction, and then I'm going to check off suspense, thriller, psychological. I think that means psychological thriller. Mystery and detective. See, I want to do mystery, but I don't want to do detective. Thrillers. You know, I've got like a beachy night sky. Nature. I feel like nature is a common theme. A lot of trees. The girl's falling. There's some creepy hands. Nature. Water. More nature. Creepy hands. There's like, this is a pretty typical thriller cover, is like the dark with a girl. Oh, and like exploding flower, that's naturey too. This one isn't a thriller, but has the exploding flower, Big Little Lies, exploding lollipop. So let's find something naturey or underwater, although we already did an underwater. So let's see what we find. Against a darkening sky. That one looks pretty similar. A lot of my nature stuff. There's definitely covers I see that I'm like, ooh, that looks interesting, but it's not one of my favorite covers. Hey, look, an exploding flower. Before We Met by Lucy Whitehouse. Don't read what it's about. I mean, exploding flowers. It's pink too. I think we found it. We find it already? It's also not a cover I necessarily lean towards. Like, I didn't pick up those books because they had shattered flowers. It was the actual story itself that interested me. Okay, exciting. We did it. So I picked 5 books, and I will come back once they arrive and do a little unboxing, and we'll find out what the books are actually about. And then over the course of the next little bit, I can read each book and tell you if I ended up liking it. We could find some of my new favorite books of all time or absolute garbage. But the good thing is the books were cheap, so I don't feel too bad about buying 5 books I've never heard of. And that's it. I will see you in a second. Okay, it has been about a week. My book outlet box has arrived, and we're gonna go ahead and look at the books that came, and we're gonna find out what they're about together. Maybe you already know. Let me know if any of these books you had heard of before. So the very first one I see is the only one in here that I like kind of recognized, and that was First and Then by Emma Mills. I have read an Emma Mills and I absolutely loved it, but I just never thought to pick up other books from her. So this was a pretty fun find. And out of all the books, I feel like this one is like a pretty significant match. So First and Then by Emma Mills. Devin Tennyson wouldn't change a thing. We're finding out what it's about. She's happy silently crushing on her best friend Cass and blissfully ignoring the future of high school, but the universe has other plans. It delivers Devin's cousin Foster, an unrepentant social outlier with a surprising talent, and the obnoxiously superior and maddeningly attractive jock Ezra, right where she doesn't want them. Pride and Prejudice, which I didn't really like, meets Friday Night Lights, which I never really got into. Just by reading the synopsis, I probably would never have picked this up on my own, but because of the author, this might have been something that like I picked up eventually. I'm interested in this. Next up in our box, we have The Girl I Used to Be by April Henry. And this was picked up because of my thing for books with like people underwater on the cover. There are a lot of books that I don't like that have people underwater too. So this one isn't something I would pick up on my own just because like the cover, like yeah, she's underwater, but she also looks like a little weird. I like more, I don't know, stylized underwater, I guess. Although I have heard of April Henry and she has a book coming out this year that I was thinking about picking up. So it'll be cool to introduce myself to her work and then figure out if I do want to read more from her. This one says, she must find the truth, even if it kills her. 14 years ago, A 3-year-old girl was the only survivor at a horrific murder scene. Okay, this is a book I would pick up. All these years later, that same girl is determined to search for the truth, but the killer is even more determined to stop her. Okay, so she writes a lot of YA mystery. Okay, next up, Drink, Slay, Love by Sara, Beth, Durst. If you know me well, this is the point in the video where you're thinking, what was the point of this video and why are you buying books like this? And then I have to reassess what I'm actually doing because why did I do this? Why did I think buying similar covers to my favorite covers was a good idea? So this one was bought because of When Diplomat Rishi. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I would never have picked this up based on the cover. All right. Oh, there's not a synopsis on the back, but there is a quote. Last period of the day was new gym class. It was her only class that didn't include Evan, which was a relief. She should be functioning at peak concentration, but he and his luminous eyes kept distracting her. First opportunity I have, she thought, I'll bite him. Oh my God. Okay, so I wouldn't buy it based on the cover. I wouldn't buy it based on that. Let's synopsize. Pearl is a 16-year-old vampire. Fuck yeah, she is. Fond of blood, allergic to sunlight, and mostly evil. Until the night a sparkly unicorn stabs her through the heart with his horn. Oops. Pearl discovers she can now withstand the sun. The only problem? Pearl's starting to feel the twinges of a conscience. Okay, how can she serve up her new friends, especially the cute guy who makes her fangs ache, to be slaughtered? What's a sunlight-loving vamp to do? Never would have bought this for myself. Maybe I'll love it. Fun. Okay, next. Oh yeah, Girl by Blake Nelson. This is cool. The thing is, I never bought this because of the cover. So I wouldn't have bought this because of the cover. But it happened to be a favorite book. What if this turns out to be a favorite book? Meet Andrea Marr. Straight A student, thrift store fanatic, and princess of the downtown music scene. Okay. Andrea is about to experience her first love, first time, and first step outside the comfort zone of high school with the help of the indie rock band The Color Green. That's it. Okay. Yeah, wouldn't have picked this up on my own. And the last one, Before We Met by Lucy Whitehouse. Oh, it says Loved Gone Girl. This is the Brit version. And this was because of this and this. Like the broken flower thing. I don't buy books because of the broken flower on the cover. I just happen to end up liking books that have things shattered on the cover. This is something I might have picked up. Hannah has always been wary of commitment, but when she meets Mark, a fellow Brit, one hot New York summer, her ideas change. Within months, they're married, but when Mark fails to return from a business trip, her certainty about their marriage starts to crack. Why don't his colleagues know about the trip? Who was the woman who keeps calling his office? And why has Hannah's bank account been emptied? Can you ever really know what happened before you met? Oh. Like if I heard it was a 2018 release, like someone wanted to send it to me to read, or I saw it like on NetGalley, I probably would have, I don't know, maybe requested it. It came out in 2014, so I probably would have never ended up reading this, except in this scenario. So I think I'll read the first chapter of each and then check back in with you. And then hopefully over the course of the next few weeks, I will get through all of these. If I DNF one or two, because it's just not my taste, like that's just how things go. But the goal is to read them all and see if I find a new favorite book based on buying books that look like my favorite books. What a concept. If I were to predict what's gonna happen, I have a feeling I'm actually really gonna like this. Depending how this one is structured, I feel like I could end up liking it. And I'm hoping to love this, but considering how many thrillers April Henry has come out with and how much I've never heard of her or anyone talk about her, I feel like it might be awful. And these two, I have very low expectations for. Okay, update. I have read the first chapter of each of the books, and I'm even more questioning the point of this video. Like, what am I to tell you? If I'm enjoying the book or if it's like the books that have the similar covers? Because it's obviously not. So starting with the first one I read, First and Then by Emma Mills. The first chapter was 13 pages and it seems okay. It's so far just about a girl who wants to go off to college, but she has had no extracurriculars, so she's not really interesting to universities. We've gotten a little intro to her cousin and the boy she's in love with, who is like her best friend, I think. Nothing spectacular, but I do like Emma Mills' writing, so we'll see. Then I read the first chapter of The Girl I Used to Be by April Henry, and the first chapter was only 2 pages, but I want to keep reading. It was super intriguing. I don't think her writing is particularly good, but basically this girl is like running through the woods trying to escape someone, and she's like in handcuffs and she's being chased by a killer. Then, okay, Drink, Slay, Love by Sara, Beth, Durst. It's not written in first person, which I feel like I would have preferred. We're following a girl named Pearl, and she's a vampire, and in the synopsis it says she gets like staked by a unicorn, and that's basically exactly what happens in the first chapter. There's 9 pages and it just jumps right into her life as a vampire. Next and most disappointing first chapter is Girl by Blake Nelson. Oh my god, the writing, it's so bad. The first chapter was only 4 pages. It's just like the sentences are just like so basic and kind of like run on. Oh, I can't stand it. It was October of my sophomore year and it was raining and I was sitting in my room with my geometry homework watching it get dark outside. Downstairs my mom was fixing dinner and I could hear the news on TV, and my dad would be home from his dentist's office soon, and I was drawing in my notebook and I was leaning on my elbow, and then the phone rang. I sat up, I listened, and my mom yelled, "Andrea, telephone." I ran into the hall and picked it up, and it was my friend Sybil. It hurts me. Oh, it hurts. I'm gonna keep reading. And then the last one, Before We Met by Lucy Whitehouse. So this one, 8 pages was the first chapter. I'm pretty intrigued by the first 8 pages. The woman is just trying to find her husband at the airport and she can't find him. And she's like losing her cool a little bit. He's only been missing for like 10 minutes. But I think this one will be good. So of the 5 books, I'm most intrigued by the 2 thrillers, which isn't really surprising. As far as how similar they are to the books that I bought them because they looked like, this, like, yeah, it's a contemporary, this is a typical like contemporary cover. The writing's not the same at all. This obviously is totally different because it's paranormal and she's like nothing like Dimple, obviously. So this one, I mean, I still don't know. It was such a short first chapter that like it could be, she could have similarities to Billy. This one, I don't even know what I was comparing it to. Girls underwater, like spooky, intense thriller. Like, yeah, I mean, the cover well reflects the plot. Why am I doing this? And this one, it's a domestic mystery following a married woman. So I think we're pretty much on par with the covers. If I'm going to like any of them, we shall see. Okay, so the first book I finished is First and Then by Emma Mills. I thought I wouldn't like this one. I thought, especially for the first like third, I was not interested in anything that was happening. I really didn't like our main character. She was saying a lot of things, like she was calling people prostitutes, and I didn't see where certain things were gonna go. Though, thinking about it now, I also remember feeling a similar way about Foolish Hearts, and this ended up being 5 stars. First and Then was 5 stars. I loved it. This is one of my favorite relationships that I've like ever read. Like slow burn, like, oh, it was just so good. I was so ready. I was prepared to talk to you guys about like the cover and like how these were really successful, and maybe the cover designer a couple years later was like, oh, well, this is what was popular, so let's try this cover and see how it goes. Not really thinking about what the actual story was. That's something that's actually like true with Emma Mills in general. Emma Mills covers have nothing to do with the stories, in my opinion. Like, this is Colorful Raindrops. It's just one of those like super generic YA covers. You don't get a feel for what the book is actually about. The cover doesn't relate to the title doesn't relate to the story. It's just a cutesy cover, a cutesy title, and it might not have been as successful as these because these titles and these covers completely relate to the actual stories. And so people don't think of this title and think of this cover and think of this book. And so maybe that's why like only 1% of the readers of this like also read this or something. But I thought also it would relate to maybe like the story wasn't actually that good, but the story was good. It was so good. And yeah, the main character's unlikable, but everything's kind of unpacked, which I really appreciated. So what does this teach us? That books that look the same, you might feel the same about? Oh my God. Okay, so I am now going to continue on into this, The Girl I Used to Be. The first chapter was definitely intriguing, and now we're jumping like 3 years in the past, and I can't wait to find out what's gonna happen. I chose this one next because I feel like it's very different than the last one I read. Light contemporary, now I'm onto a thriller. I hope I like it too. Wouldn't that be amazing if like all these books I end up loving? Pretty unlikely, but okay. So I finished The Girl I Used to Be by April Henry. Now, this is gonna sound like a bad rating, but like I couldn't give it more than a 2.5. So that's my rating. My rating is 50%. When you actually think about it, that's 50%. Like that's not actually that bad. But for me, anything under a 3 sounds like a bad book. I will say I was pleasantly surprised by like the beginning, the first third. Like when I started this book, I was like, oh, it's better than I expected. So when I started, I was expecting it to be like poorly written. And I shouldn't have expected that because like she's come out with like 10 books or something. So obviously she's doing something right. Here's what she's doing right. She is writing easy mysteries. I think that's probably her niche. I feel like this is going to be across the board with all of her books, that they're very just step by step, find out what happens. And I think that's fine for a reader who enjoys that, obviously. Like it works for her, it works for her fans. For somebody who needs to be surprised and like misled and like disgusted in order to enjoy a thriller. Like I want to hate somebody, I want to be surprised, I want to be confused. This and her, I'm assuming this isn't for me. There was nothing wrong with this. It was just a simple mystery where like, it's hard to explain, but like every single scene was imperative to the mystery. There was no other things going on. It was like every conversation was about the mystery. Basically, she had a dead parent and a parent who fled. And so she was like just abandoned basically. And 14 years later, she returns to where all that happened to like find out the truth. And people were just like really forthcoming with their theories on what happened and bringing evidence to her so she could easily find out what happened. With that being said, I am removing her 2018 release from my TBR because I just don't think she's for me. So I was not planning on filming a clip tonight, clearly, but I want to talk about this. So I thought I would want to just tell you about it when I was done. But okay, I'm 75 pages in. There are parts, apparently. And the first part seems to be dictated by her sexual experience. Like she finally had sex. And then part 2 of her life begins. She literally said, I felt like, and this is where my life begins. And it was just like one of those sex scenes that you feel like a man wrote. That was like a girl having sex for the first time at 16, and like she it feels great, and like she does it again right after, and like finds all the right positions, and then says like, oh, I don't understand why people don't have sex for 8 hours a day. And it just like is just not the usual. Not the usual. And then it occurred to me, maybe this author is a guy. I don't know, I assumed it was about a girl, so maybe it was by a girl. So I just Googled Blake Nelson, and it's definitely this old dude. And now I feel weird that he's writing about sex scenes from the perspective of 16-year-old girls. I don't like it. Okay, so then I clicked his Wikipedia page, and I feel like maybe all of you this entire video have been like, you've never heard of Girl? You don't know what Girl is? Because apparently like it's a thing, and I think it's a movie. And I want to turn on the camera to get my like reaction to the movie, because apparently it's a movie. I thought this came out in 2017. I read that somewhere, but it says here it actually originally came out in 1994. Girl is a 1998 American drama film starring Dominique Swain, Christopher Masterson, Selma Blair, Tara Reid, Summer Phoenix, Portia de Rossi, and Sean Patrick Flannery. Bitch, what?
I'm 18 and I'm still a virgin. My friends tell me that I've gotten pretty. Even worse, that I've gotten sexy. Sybil's my best friend. She's sort of my idol.
Should have shaved head at the beginning.
Together. This is Rebecca. Grunge rock or post-grunge rock?
Oh my god, Portia de Rossi. Oh my god, Tara Reid! She's brunette! Weird! Okay, I'm gonna go finish it now. Okay, this lighting is actually the worst, so we'll make it quick. But, Girl, I gave 1.5 stars. I pretty much hated it. I hated the intent of this book and what it was trying to say and do. I hated, like, the message. I hated the writing, obviously. I hated the writing from the very first page. And I thought, like, I could get used to it. I thought maybe there was a reason behind the writing. But it was just poorly written. It was just, oh, it was so self-indulgent. Just the descriptions of men and their genitals and their performance and ugh. So while this looks like my favorite book, it isn't at all like my favorite book. And we have 2 books to go. This one, Before We Met by Lucy Whitehouse, I'm going to read now. I don't hate thrillers very often. I just find the majority of thrillers that I read just super average and mediocre. So that'll either be that, this will be that, or it'll be like 5 stars amazing. And I'm leaving this to last because you know your girl's probably going to DNF it. Hi, update. Page 100 update. I didn't plan on making the video like this, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm hooked. I can't tell you yet if this is a good book or not, if I'm going to like it thoroughly, how I'm going to rate it, if it surprises me, but I'm hooked. I will tell you that much. I have to finish it today. All right, Lucy Whitehouse coming in clutch with an epic thriller. It was good. It was a good one. I think I'm giving it 4 stars. I'll tell you more about it in the morning. It's like midnight. Okay, so I don't love all thrillers I read, but I'm looking for 2 things when reading a thriller. I want to be entertained. I want to be on the edge of my seat. I want to be excited to turn every page. and I need to be surprised, shocked. Plot twists have to happen. And she did it. Oh, she did it. I'm giving it 4 and a bit stars. It wasn't like a perfect thriller, but considering this was 270 pages, it packed in so many moments where I was like, what the actual fuck is happening? So it's about this woman, I pretty much told you, her bank account's been cleaned out, her husband, she has no idea what the fuck he's doing, where he is, what's going on. And then it did not go at all where I thought it would go, considering like books it's been compared to and like the description of the book. It was just like, oh, it was so many different places, so many things I wasn't expecting. Highly entertaining, well written. Lucy Whitehouse, who is she? Can I read every book she ever writes? Great time. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Okay, so no one is surprised that I DNF'd this. Robbie didn't even know I was reading this. Does this look like something I would ever read? What does it look like it's about?
Vampires.
Okay, out of the 5 books that I picked up, I read 4 of them. I'm not even gonna mark this on here because I didn't read enough of it and I'm not going to. There are the 5 books I wanted to read for that, and I read the 4 of them. So, I don't know the conclusion, like I've lost sight of what this even was. None of these books were books that obviously I had already wanted to pick up. So they weren't books that like I already had on my TBR or already wanted to read. And upon reading them, I found some ones I really liked and I found some ones I didn't like. The idea behind this video was good because I found books that I wouldn't normally read. And that's actually tomorrow, how I choose my April TBR is a way to expand the books that I read. You'll see what I mean tomorrow. But so what we learned from this is that just because books look the same doesn't mean they're the same book. Like, is that what we learned? Because that's obvious. Or books that look the same doesn't mean you're both good, you're gonna enjoy both or hate both. I guess that's what that conclusion is. But like some books didn't actually look similar. Like these weren't actually, you didn't think these were the same genre or anything going in. So it's not like I actually expected this to be like this. So what did I learn? What did I learn? I learned not to judge a book by its cover. I learned to judge some books by their cover. I'm not sure what I learned, but I did read 4 new books in this week and expanded my something or other. Great. Awesome. That was the first week of April. Tomorrow will be my TBR for April. It's a fun one. Don't miss it. I don't know what I want you to comment below. I don't know the takeaway from this video. Let me know what you think about something. And I'll see you later.